Hi guys, welcome. I'm going to talk today about how I think Johnny Depp will win this trial against Amber Heard, why their relationship is so incredibly difficult and toxic, especially given that they both have the star Algol, the Medusa's head sitting together on their Venus. They both have their Venus under the light of a malefic star. The same star, their Venuses are conjunct, but in a difficult place. I remember listening to somebody say he's nitro and she's glycerin, and I agree. The two of them are a toxic, explosive combination. What are the odds you're going to date somebody, marry somebody that has the fixed star Algol, the Medusa myth, off with her head, a death and corpses and rotting bodies, and a whole bunch of negative stuff that goes with that star, as well as wealth, and they're fighting over money? What's the chance you're going to date somebody that has Venus in the exact same place as you? So it was a perfect storm. I'm also going to share where Amber and Johnny are in each other's charts. There is an asteroid Amber. There is an asteroid Johnny. You can't make this stuff up. When you see where those asteroids fall, you're going to get that the universe has a divine, malefic plan sometimes to bring two people together that were absolutely going to be terrible news for each other. And I do think Johnny will probably win. I'm going to give it an 80% chance of that for various reasons, not the least of which Jupiter is currently transiting his house of law and courts, and that looks really positive for him. Whereas Amber does not have the same amount of super yay going on in her sky, which I'll be showing you as well. This is going to be a bit of a long dive for all the astrology geeks. I'm going to start off by showing you a little bit about the Johnny story in his chart and then Amber separately. If you love astrology and you're really into looking at how fated circumstances happen, like you really want to watch this video because relationships like this kind of drama where we all got to see the inside of a very difficult, very toxic connection of two people, are something that could happen in many people's charts, but we'll never know about it. So here we have such a public record to talk about. And I'm wishing both Johnny and Amber the best in their lives. So this is not about them. This is about the astrology of the sky when they were born and how it is acting in the sky for them now. Don't forget, if you like what I'm up to here, please like and subscribe. It does help my channel grow. And I also have a lot of stuff on sale and always on special. Check my description box below. If you sign up for my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, it's out every weekend, usually on a Sunday, sometimes a Saturday. Gives a whole forecast for the week ahead, heads up just for you, written information that I don't put out anywhere else in the world. And if you do subscribe, then you get a 30% discount code off automatically generated. Check your spam for a discount reading and my all signs 2022 12 videos, 60 minutes each, videos portending the year ahead for all signs. You get the whole bundle for free. If you sign up for my newsletter, it's a special I'm having until the end of June. All right, so let's get going and talk about the sky for each of these characters. Now, this is one in which I will do some sharing of the sky so you can see what I'm looking at, okay? So you can understand how this works. But before I do that, there's an astrology program that I have. You know, every astrologer has like the canned reports for stuff. So I decided just for fun to print out the harshest aspects going on between Johnny and Amber. Turns out that it's a lot of Mars, and Mars, of course, is war, battle, and angry and angst. And the Mars in this case, and the Uranus, which is unpredictable, erratic, and eccentric energies, are Amber. Amber is Mars to Johnny. Amber is eccentric, out of control, unstable, bolts of lightning energy, Uranus to Johnny. So these kinds of relationships are not easy. What I'm talking about is called synastry. And so two people's charts look when they are mapped on top of each other. So Mars is conjunct the moon in their relationship. That is the Mars that belongs to Amber on the moon, the sensitive part and the emotional part of Johnny. Mars, verbal and physical combat and aggression. Amber, moon, Johnny, also Johnny's mom. You know, the moon represents her mom. So in some ways, this is replicated as mother issues. Is there any surprise? No, because he talks about his mother being the meanest person he ever knew. That's all on the trial record. She was combative and abusive and a difficult mother. And Amber is the replication of his mother wound. So I just love that kind of weird synchronicity. This is definitely a sexual attraction type thing when Mars and Moon get together, but it can also be combative and toxic. Second of all, Mars, the Mars that belongs to Amber, is square or in a difficult relationship, like two sides of a boxing ring, to Jupiter in Johnny's chart. So his Jupiter is getting a lot of contrary energy from Amber's Mars, that same Mars that's sitting on his moon. Yes, that means that he grew up with his moon square Jupiter. So I'm just going to read this to you because you cannot make this up, right? This is a canned report. It's just software, but Amber has a tendency to force Johnny to do things her way. At times, Amber can be quite aggressive in her communication. Johnny believes he knows best. The result is tension and arguments. No kidding, if you watch the trial. So you see that they're always screaming at each other, and there's a lot of name calling and a lot of verbal abuse that is on the record. Then next, Uranus, which is Amber. She's Uranus, the erratic, the unpredictable energy, and his sun. Okay, so Uranus in her chart is directly across the way from Johnny Depp's sun. And her Uranus is in his house of sexuality and romance. His 5th house across the way from his sun, right, in his 11th house. This energy is not easy for relationships. If I see it in a couple, when I'm doing couples charts for readings, which I do, I'm like, guys, it's going to take a lot of Saturn sticky glue to hold this together. So I'll be looking for a lot of Saturn in the chart that can hold the relationship together in a positive way, which, by the way, Amber and Johnny do not have. Okay, so Uranus opposite the sun. I am just going to tell you, I'm reading this to you. Amber does not want to be overridden by what she perceives as Johnny's strong personality, which is his sun, of course, and may have problems showing a long-term commitment. All right. So, and then it says this is a thrilling, exciting, romantic attraction. They would have been attracted at first sight, which is the truth. That's what Johnny and Amber both say about their first encounter on the set of the movie, The Rum Diary. So, but it is erratic. It is unstable. It is truly like nitro and glycerin. All right. And Amber will stand in the way of Johnny expressing his true nature, according to this. Okay. So there's all that conflict. Lastly, and then I'm going to show you some stuff in the sky. Gotta say, Chiron square Pluto. This is an energy, Chiron, the healer, the wounded part, that is always in a relationship, a place where you can see the potential for some healing. But this is not so easy. Both Johnny and Amber have difficulty coping with the intensity of this relationship, it says. It will challenge them on a deeply personal level. And so, Chiron square Pluto, the god of death, of violence, of toxic stuff, Chiron, it is not, these two did not start off with what you would call an easy combination of synastry planets to make this relationship easy. It's not easy. It was never going to be easy, that is for sure. So here's Johnny Depp's chart, and we have an accurate birth time for him in the databases. So this is probably very true. I think with Amber, I don't, so I just have to put her general sky up. But here's Johnny's actual natal chart. So I'm not going to go for a lot of depth into this about who he is, but I will say a couple of things. Right now, traveling through the sky is Jupiter. Jupiter is up on the top of the sky, moving through. Oh, I'm on his solar return. I do apologize. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not going to edit. I don't have time to edit. Starting over. This is Johnny Depp's natal chart. You see that his Jupiter is in the house of courts. What you cannot see in this is that there's an asteroid called Nemesis conjunct Jupiter. It says that sometime in his life, his sort of undoing, the thing that is his nemesis, will have to do with legal affairs and courts. And now this energy is actually sitting there all of his life, Jupiter and Nemesis at the top of the sky. And the asteroid Amber, of all things, is sitting right here on between his Chiron and his lot of fortune. It's actually very tight to the lot of fortune in the house of money that doesn't belong to you, spousal shared resources and assets, palimony, spousal supports, divorce settlements. And, the lot of fortune isn't always where we're fortunate. Sometimes it's where we lose our fortunes. And so he did pay out $7 million to Amber Heard in the actual divorce settlement several years ago. So with his lot of fortune conjunct Amber in the 8th house of settlements of money and chunks of money, if he was dating this woman, I would have said, I don't know about marrying her, especially with the conjunction of the asteroid Amber to Chiron, the wounded healer, opposite Pluto, the god of death and darkness and difficulties and shame and toxicity. I mean, and even opposite Mars, the god of combat. The asteroid Amber activates this combative, toxic Mars, and Pluto in the house of the things that Johnny puts in his mouth, right? Like drink, like drugs, right? Things that we eat, things that we ingest, things that go into our mouth is the second house, and our face, by the way. Second house is your face. So snorting cocaine. So basically, she brought the worst out on him, activated his Mars, this sort of consumptive desire to put those things into his mouth. Now he does have plant medicine. He's done psilocybin, magic mushrooms, and that series, Goddess of the Harvest, I've seen her to be very active in plant medicine users. And so he has done a lot of that in his life as well. Now, and you can argue that Molly or MDMA is also that, because it's derived from nutmeg and is a natural substance. So he does like to experiment. And there's that piece of the sky there, the second house. I had to laugh when somebody said on the trial thing that no one takes a handful of Molly and then attacks somebody. It's so true. Molly makes you love everybody. And Amber actually declared that a handful of Molly and he got aggressive. I'd love to see that. Okay. And a handful of Molly, he'd probably have kidney failure. So I doubt all of that was true, but my humble opinion. All right. So next of all, I want to talk about why I think he's going to win. I do think he's going to win for a couple of reasons. First of all, technically, if you look at what's going on in the trial, legally, the jury could definitely not declare him the winner of the situation, because the way it plays out, I mean, she did put an op-ed in the paper and it's like, about being a survivor of abuse, but she didn't name Johnny. And John and the defense for Amber is saying that's not enough to create a defamation charge or a charge. And maybe technically they're right. But I'm going to say that the jury doesn't like Amber. I'm going to give you a 90% chance that the jury doesn't like her, and then they will rule on their emotions, not on the legalities, but on how they feel. So his Jupiter is returning to his 9th house. Jupiter in our sky right now is sitting around 3 degrees of the sign of Aries. And that's really important, because Jupiter in the 9th house will bring justice and fairness, and it's a sign of a place you can win. Add to that, he's got Mars there, and Mars is like the warrior, lawyer, battler. That's his Camila Vasquez doing her job. And so Mars got there on May the 24th, just in time for closing arguments. And it's going to be interesting to see that it is literally when Mercury will station to go direct from his 3-week retrograde, almost 4-week retrograde, that you're going to see that Mercury will station on Johnny Depp's Venus and also on Amber Heard's Venus. They both have their Venus at 26 degrees of the toxic and malignant star that's to do with the Medusa and the slaying of the Medusa. And it also has to do with corpses and bodies, or in piles of bodies, and it also has to do with wealth. And that's what's going to be the deliverer of the news. It's going to literally be Mercury stationing on the 3rd of June, turning around to go direct, moving very slowly. I will pretty well bet there's going to be within a day or two of June the 3rd that this court case is decided. So let's say anywhere between June the 1st and June the 5th, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's literally once Mercury goes direct, like on June 3rd or 4th. And so the money will be delivered to who? I think that Johnny will win both on merit, like he'll be declared the winner. And I think that they will give him some money. Like, I don't know if he'll ever get it from Amber, but there will be probably an amount attached. I think the juries can change the amount that, somebody's asking. I think it's 50. I don't know what it is, 50 million or something that Johnny's asking, but I do think there will be a financial win or a settlement. And the reason I also think that is this. I'm going to show you the chart that I accidentally showed you just a minute ago. All righty. Okay. Can't make this stuff up, but here's a solar return chart that has started in 2021, and it's ongoing until his birthday on June the 8th. You can see that in his solar return chart, he's doing something to do with Jupiter in the 8th. Now, 8th house stuff is other people's money, like spousal settlements and divorces, and money through things like legal contests that you could get a payout from. Jupiter in dignity here suggests that he will be awarded a payout of some kind before his birthday on June the 8th. On the other hand, you also see Chiron, like basically sitting in his 9th house of court cases in his solar return chart. Solar return is just where the sun set on his birthday on June 8th, 2021, and what that sun set into motion. So his sun will always be at 18 degrees of Gemini, but the whole sky may be aligned differently. Okay. It's always cast for your place of birth, although we can cast it for where you live as well as a secondary chart. So basically woundedness in courts, right? Chiron is moving through Aries. So there's some kind of wound that needs to be healed, and it's going to be healed through legal and court cases, one of the meanings of the ninth house. But given that his sun has fallen into the 11th, which is where it is when he was born, just happens to be with the North Node in Mercury, this is a place of celebrity. This is a place of good rewards. It's a good place for the sun. And the Mercury in dignity means the truth, or the messages that come out will be true or connected to some kind of favor, popularity, the 11th house. Now, an exalted moon in the 10th house during this trial, this is like the snapshot for the year, means he's going to be very popular, extremely popular with the public. And he is. Justice for Johnny and hashtags. All of a sudden, no matter how, drugged out on opiates he was and his bad language, people still seem to love Johnny. And the Uranus part is the internet. And yes, popular through all of the memes and Twitter and all of the replays on YouTube, etc., etc. This is a good sky for him, though, in terms of winning. And that's why I wanted to show it to you. It looks to me like success. However, is taking a toll on his body. Hygeia on the ascendant is saying this is taking a toll on his health. And he doesn't look great, but I don't think it's just because of this trial. He'll need to come into some kind of equilibrium, but this chart is almost done. The next sky I'm going to show you is his next solar return chart. Now, in astrology, what I like is that you want many things to say the same thing. Like often I'll use 4 different techniques, solar arc, secondary progressions, solar returns, and stuff like that to come to conclusions for clients. Now, because I don't want to do this all day with you guys, so I just want to progress forward and ask ourselves what happens after the trial, because certainly I believe by June 8th, there will be a declaration by the jury, probably, as I said, when that Algol star gets activated. All right. And that Algol star, by the way, just so you know, on the Venus of both Johnny and Amber Heard, that Algol star was activated by an eclipse right on that star back in November, on the 19th of November. And therefore you're seeing that full moon eclipse or that lunar eclipse on November 19th is what started this process. And it's really all one story, There was even activation of the sun on Algol during the last eclipse we had as well. Scorpio 15-degree eclipse was a lunar eclipse with the sun on fixed star Algol, and now Mercury turns around on Algol, and this is the news of what's going to come out of that difficult circumstance. So moving on to the next return chart, I apologize, I didn't want to cast it. I have it drawn up, and here we go. And lastly, this is his new solar return snapshot. Now, hey, if you're going to get money from a settlement, really, or an inheritance or a tax rebate or a chunk of money, a big chunk of money, it's the 8th house, guys. He's got a stellium in the 8th house, but the most important part of that is, and I often associate Athena here with legal stuff, like a legal lawyer, but on top of that, there's Venus in dignity. Uranus here makes me wonder if he's going to get more than he asked for. Can the jury award more than is he the plaintiff than the person is asking for? Some surprise there. But anyway, there's this. Now, of course, this is his whole year, right? This is his whole age. He's going into a difficult age. Right now, he's in his 11th house profection age, which is, to succeed. And you got a fairy godfather and good things happen and your karmic rewards and all of that. But then on his birthday, he's going to go into the darker night of the soul of the 12th house profection age, by the way. But it will activate a trine to this payout house. So I do think he will have a money bonanza from maybe a movie deal as well, but also maybe from court cases. The sun shining in the house of courts is a positive feature, especially given that there is energy in a sextile, whole sign house sextile from Jupiter in the house of legal agreements where we sign documents and contracts, etc. There's something about Johnny that he's so noble underneath all of his piety, avarice, and scoundrelly ways of that I could even see him winning and then not taking the money, or taking the money and applying it all to a charity like the ACLU, like Amber Heard was supposed to have done. And that could be why we're seeing this sort of jolting surprise. But with Jupiter sitting here and sextiling that sun, to me, that speaks of a win. Really, really does. And he's healing the woundedness of his marriage house with Chiron here. I mean, the guy is probably post-traumatically stressed out by the whole ordeal. Who wouldn't be, really? Who wouldn't be? He's healing his substance abuse if he still has any, because Hygeia is in the house of his things he puts in his mouth. So after this trial, he'll pick it up and get back to his health regimes, or start a health regime if he hasn't had one. And he'll be making movies again for sure, because there's Neptune, the god of the film industry, in a perfectly glorious energy, 25 degrees of Pisces, and talking to his nodal axis here, well, especially to his second house of income. Now, funny enough, I think he will make movies, say 22 degrees Mercury, 25, and all of that, but he may surprise us with the kind of movies he's going to make. Again, Uranus up here, maybe he'll end up making completely like stuff we've never seen Johnny do. This has changed the man. There's no doubt about it. Okay. But he won't be blacklisted if he ever was. Now let's talk about Amber Heard for a second. Okay. I'm going to pause that while I draw her chart for you guys. And I'm going to tell you where the asteroid Johnny sits as well. So give me a second while I do that, pause the recording and get the charts ready. So when it came to Amber Heard's chart, guys, I didn't have a time. I tried to rectify her birth time based on things that happened in her life, like the death of a friend at age 16. Some rumors out there that she was the driver of the car because she ended up with a suspension on her license that you can only get if you've had a accident in which somebody was killed or something. But it was, of course, sealed records because she was under the age of 18. So I did try to rectify her chart. Now I'm going to show you something. Rectify mean figure it out. I want to go over to Johnny for a second because I didn't show this to you guys. And I think for some of you astro geeks, this is the kind of thing you're really going to love. Excuse me, my mouse is just not working. You see what I'm saying? This is the Johnny chart with asteroid Amber exactly on his lot of fortune, right? Opposite is Pluto Mars, and wounding him, bringing up the toxic substance wounds and activating other stuff as well, of course, in his sky. And, you know, he did have a difficult mother relationship. And you can see that his mother is at 13 degrees in the sign of Capricorn. That's a moon in the sign of its a lack of dignity, its exile, stern, cold, withholding, you know, not a supportive mom, maybe. And that is also, you know, connected to the Amber story. You know, it's a sextile. But what's more important is look at that Amber. I know it's hard to see, but oh, I didn't want to do that. No, well, this is the Amber. I don't know how to do the drawing on this chart. Let me see if I can figure it out. I don't even know how. Oh, yes, I can. Annotate. Yeah, there we are. There's Amber right there. Can you see her? He's having an Amber return. What does an Amber return mean? It means that this asteroid is back on top of itself. It's literally almost exact. All the asteroids in the asteroid belt take between 3 and 5 years to go around the zodiac. But it would have been, let's say, back in 2017, 5 years ago, that this whole thing began to pick up speed when she posted something that was considered to be defaming of him and stuff like that. So he's having an Amber return as this goes on. And you can even see that he's having the asteroid Nemesis, which was on his court case position. And of course, look at square the mom, the moon. Don't forget, Amber's Mars is on his moon. It's activating his mother wounds. She's like his mother, basically, aggressive and angry and all of that, and physically maybe abusive. Don't forget, I'm just speculating. But anyway, there is Nemesis, right? This is also important. Nemesis is sitting right on top of Chiron. What healing of his Nemesis, she's his Nemesis, is going on here, you know? So I just had to point that out for you guys to see the crazy ass sky. I do really think, though, with Chiron now on Jupiter and Nemesis, this is like a double healing, right? Up here in the sky, it's healing. And over here, it's healing. And here it's healing. So I don't know. To me, it feels positive, you know, and having Venus just, of course, this is Venus up here, but she will be moving on the 28th. This is set for May 28th. Okay. Technically she's shifting over to Taurus right over here on the 28th, 29th, and wherever you live, it'll be, check my video out for that. It'll give you a 3-week yay you story with Venus and dignity. But if you know, if he's trying to win money in a court case and the goddess of money goes into her own sign, and this is a house of his public reputation, he's getting ready for a Venus returning to Venus. It's called a Venus return. This is also boding really well. Now here's Algol. Sorry, now I know how to do this. I'm having fun. Algol on his natal Venus, right? Yikes. But Algol brings wealth. It doesn't just bring calamity and difficult and toxic things. And so if he's going to have a Venus return, And under the other lights of the other events, I do think he's going to win a settlement. All right. Finally, let's go over to stopping the share. I'm going to do Amber Heard. And you know what? I'm just going to pull her up on this software for you guys right now. Hopefully you can see the same screen I'm looking at. I just realized I might have been circling something that you couldn't have even seen. That would be totally me. Let's start off with, okay, let me grab that again. Okay, let's take a look at Amber and where the asteroid Johnny falls in her natal sky using free online software, astro.com. You could do extended chart menu to grab the asteroids, and it's just a drop down menu alphabetically. So there is an asteroid named Johnny. You know, wouldn't that surprise us? Not really, really. This is Amber Heard. This is not necessarily really a Leo rising. I think she is, by the way. I always call it vein with your mane. I mean, her hair was a spectacle throughout the entire trial with a different style. And at the end of the whole thing, it looked like she had a ton of extensions because suddenly her hair was long. And, you know, I mean, her hair was a performance. So I do think she's a Leo rising. And on top of it, I timed this out as a chart that reflects the events of her life the best I could to look at it maybe as a rectification. So possibly she is a late degree ascendant Leo, but and if she is this degree, by the way, her ascendant is on Regulus, born to rule, like petty tyrants, you know, kings that fall from power, but also just the idea of being queenly or kingly and being entitled or extra dignified or something like that. So, you know, let's take a look at the sky for her. Johnny, where does the asteroid fall? In the house of romantic love, conjunct the asteroid Juno for committed marriage and love, but also connected to Uranus, unexpected, erratic, exciting, exhilarating stuff. I mean, I do think the two of them did hit a huge chemistry when they first met, and I do think it was mutual. Yet you can see that the Johnny asteroid is not in a good condition. It is at 19 degrees and it is in a square to Jupiter in the house of finances that belong to the marriage partnership, jointly held resources, and things that you have to divide up and share when divorce happens. And so already Johnny is squaring the division of marital assets. And that's what's going on now. Even though he gave her the 7 million, now he's doing a clawback, right, to get money back for her defamation and of him, etc. His declared defamation of him. And second of all, what is going on in her quartz house? Well, she's got nemesis up there. She was born with the thing that will undo you, your nemesis, in the house of legal affairs and courts. This is a girl who probably shouldn't have done that. Yet with Jupiter in her 8th house, she could actually win money, and she did. She won a $7 million settlement because Jupiter's in dignity here, and she took the money, and she should have just kept her mouth shut because this is a good Jupiter for her to have won. Jupiter is no longer in her 8th house. Jupiter's moved to the house of courts, and this could be bad for her, guys. It's hot in my apartment. This could end up being like, oh no, Jupiter's no longer hanging here with himself, but he's over here and he's in aversion to himself and can't really support her getting more money. So I don't think that looks good for her at all. Jupiter right now is conjunct her Mercury. So it'll be things like news around court cases that are coming up this week. There is her Venus under the light of Algol on her midheaven. Now, if I have this right, because remember she's rectified, but if it really was a 10th house Venus midheaven, this is the end of her career, really, because Mercury will turn around here and Mercury's going to go direct and will be a change. I think this is like off with her head, slay the Medusa, the Gorgon's head. I think she, turning people to snaky head, turning people to snakes, to stone. I think this is her undoing. This court case will probably be the end of her acting career. Now, I would also point out, where is Johnny now in the sky? Where he's floating through the sky? Where is he? Like what's he doing up there? Let's take a look at the asteroid transits and see, where is Johnny floating around in the sky as we speak? Asteroid Johnny, where are you? There he is. Johnny's up there in the house of spousal shared monies and resources next to Nemesis. Okay, so what does it mean if Johnny and Nemesis are in her 8th house of money that you would get from a court award? It means she's going to lose. Johnny is her Nemesis. And it's funny to see that Amber asteroid's trailing after the Johnny asteroid, chasing after him. And there's Juno, the goddess of marriage, right? Colliding with Jupiter, the god of justice in the house of spousal assets, but in this case, court case monies. When you're awarded a chunk of money for any reason, a disability pension, a tax rebate, a grant you win, or court case settlement or money from the sale of a property. Even these are eighth house monies. And Johnny is her nemesis in the eighth house. So I'll just declare, it looks to me like the court awards him the money. I think it's because they like Johnny and they don't like Amber. And even though technically at a very legal level, maybe her statement wasn't defamatory, she didn't specifically name Johnny in the op-ed, but I think that the court is going to rule in his favor. Okay. So I hope you guys found that enjoyable and entertaining. If you're into astrology, that's for the geeks out there. Let's see what happens. And I bet you any money on June the 3rd. What day of the week is June the 3rd, guys? Let me take a look at my calendar. Bet you any money on June the 3rd, the jury comes out to declare their response when Mercury turns around. That would be so cool. It's on Friday. Yeah, it's on Friday. So let's see if it takes them that long to deliberate. I'd be surprised if it took them that long to deliberate, but Mercury's slowing down. And so even on like Tuesday, the 31st, Wednesday, the 1st, Thursday, the 2nd, Friday, the 3rd, all of that time, he's going so slow as he stations to retrograde that he's really hovering pretty close to Algol and to the Venus that belongs to both Johnny and to Amber. Alrighty, thanks for listening. I hope to get this out for you guys. This is May the 28th. It usually goes to my Patreon community, so you'll probably be getting this on Sunday the 29th. All right, happy long weekend, Americans. Ciao, ciao. And I'm Canadian, so we're just having, are we having a long weekend? No, we're having a regular weekend. Bye-bye.